All right, after failed attempts to land Daryl Morey and R.C. Buford, the Sixers are still without a permanent GM, with Coach Brett Brown still doing double duty, and we're less than 2 months away from the season. Keith Pompey, my buddy from the Philadelphia Inquirer, went on Chris Mannix's podcast and said, quote, yes, they want a named general manager, but they also are looking for someone who doesn't have the final say, so to speak. They want to do it all like a group decision. There's a guy in the ownership group, his name is David Heller. He's one of these guys from New York. When Hinkie was the GM, from what you hear, Heller was a guy who was basically running the meetings, and he had a heavy hand in the decision-making, and at this particular time, he again has a hand in the decision-making. And so they want this system of kind of not a guy who has a be-all, end-all say, but a more collaborative approach. And my question is, do they need to hurry up in selecting their GM?
I don't, at this point, probably not. I mean, all the most important stuff is taken care of. What I will say is that this is a strange franchise. All the stuff that we've seen with them, some of it is just bad luck. You saw what happened with all the injuries to all their first-round picks. But the fact that we've seen this, the fact that it was very public when obviously they got turned down by Morey earlier this offseason, the fact that he would even go after Morey after what happened with Hinkie and knowing how tight those two are, it's just a strange team. But I don't think they need a GM the second because they've gotten through most of the important stuff.
Well, I think there's a difference between saying, we want Daryl Morey, and we want Daryl Morey, but Daryl, you don't get the final say, right? If you're looking for a named general manager like Keith Pompey was talking about, Frank.
That way doesn't work.
Will you ever? Yeah.
It's not going to work. And here's the thing, too. So who's going to be held accountable then? Is it going to be a collaboration? Oh, yeah, we're all responsible that we didn't get LeBron James and that we weren't able to make a trade for Kawhi Leonard. The best organizations, look how they do it in Miami. You hire a basketball person, Pat Riley. Look at the way they do it in San Antonio. They hire basketball people. The owner takes a step back. Once the owner's going to get involved, it's never going to work out like that. In football, look at the New England Patriots. The Sixers need to go out, hire a GM. We heard David Griffin's name all summer long. I don't know where that stands now. But once you hear how these guys all want to kind of play fantasy GM, but you know they're not going to be held accountable, that's never a good thing.
I think, you hit the nail on the head. And I've talked about this all the time. When people look at, fans ask me, why is my team so bad? I said, I use a line from The Wire. You follow the drugs, you get drug dealers. You follow the money, you know where you're going to end up, at the top, right? And so in this analogy, you look at dysfunction, and dysfunction always starts at the top. It's not your coach, it's not your star player, it's not your general manager. It's usually the owner. He's meddling, he's messing about. And the great organizations, like we just sat here and said, what are the best organizations in basketball? San Antonio, Miami.
And now Golden State.
Golden State, Boston.
That's right.
What do they all have in common? I don't know what Wick Grosbeck's voice sounds like. I don't know what Peter Holt looks like.
Yep.
Right?
I know what Jim Dolan's singing voice sounds like.
Exactly.
No, but you're 100% right. And they hire people that they trust, let them do the work. And guess what? As the owner, look at Joe Lacob. He walked out on the court, was it 4 years ago when they booed him? Yeah. Now when he walks out on the court, he's holding championship trophies up. So if you're the owner, you hire the right people, take a step back. You're going to get all the credit anyway. Look what a great owner you are. You're winning all these championships.
Your job, and it sounds weird, I'm telling a billionaire what his job is, but your job is literally two things. One, sign the checks. Two, when they hand you that pretty trophy, you're the first one to get it.
What I will say, I agree with you that obviously the ownership is massively important. But that's also the one spot where the owner can go in and decide who he wants to sign as an executive, and you can pay as much money as you want. Obviously, you could pay $12 million to Phil Jackson if you want, but that's the one place where there's no salary cap. Get someone that knows what they're doing, put them in place, and back off. It's a lot easier said than done for some of these people, but
also I think a lot of people are successful in their line of work, and they think, well, if I was successful doing this, I'll take the same approach to basketball. Plus, they have all their friends and maybe their kids chirping in their ear saying, we should go get LeBron. You know what? That's a good idea. Why didn't I think of that? It's more hard to building a basketball team than trying to get the best player in the league.
It's hard to tell someone, most of these guys have turned nothing into $1 billion. So to tell them, you don't know what you're talking about. That's what they said when I started XYZ company. Right. Look at me now. And that's
even Mark Cuban hiring, think about the people he has. Donnie Nelson and also Rick Carlisle running everything.